S.E.M.A.J. Productions, Inc. S.E.M.A.J. standing for sociologists, educators, musicians, authors, and justice advocates. We're dealing with my program Devotee, a mature model's guide to understanding, nurturing, and protecting a female goddess. Those of you who have been following our program know it. My book is right there, James Kelly, Devotee. It's on Amazon, and we're up to we're about to end chapter 3. But I'd like to go back and review a little bit about the most important part of this chapter, which dealt with, again, mortals' perceptions of a female goddess. Now, I had mentioned, I'm going to go back over this right quick before we open up to questions of discussion. Mortals, they tend to get overwhelmed with the level of obsession and addiction. Obsession and addiction can get very dangerous for people, especially with a human goddess and the addiction that they have for a human goddess. And when they can't get the type of devotion, obsession that they wish to have back to them, they do certain things. And we talked about that. We closed our last segment with that. But I'd like to go over it right quick. I'd like to summarize that right quick before I open up questions that I want you to come in and talk to me about or leave messages about. It's 917-843-5683. That's our podcast number to S.E.M.A.J. Productions, Devotee, the discussions. So let's go into it, okay? Like I said, what they tend to do is they berate the female goddess, especially their intelligence. Oh, who do you think you are? You think you're better than me? We talked about that. And then, as we had mentioned before, human goddesses have a lot of street smarts because they've always had to watch their ass and watch their back. It's truth. Telling you the truth. But now, all of a sudden, he's going to start talking all slick and start talking like, I got more street creds than you do. And they don't, but we talked about that. So I'm going to keep it moving. Sexually dominate her. Now, if you remember the last time we talked about sexually dominating, when you have a sensual experience or physical experience with a human goddess, you're not having sex. You're feasting with or on one another. It's a feast. But when a mortal deals with a human goddess and tries to dominate her sexually and he can't, he would try to tend to get physically abusive, a little slightly abusive with her when having sex with her. And human goddesses don't like to have sex. They like to feast on their devotee. Similar to, I guess, what a vampire would do with her familiar. Now, we talked about they're going to take her worldly possessions. I gave an example of that. And, like I said, human goddesses are not addicted to materialistic things, but how do you like it when somebody takes money out of your account or you buy a car and they run it in the ground? But when it's time for you to be looked out for, taken care of, they just overlook your ass. That's right. Now, mortals will always try and outdo the female goddess, as I said. They become obsessed with the amount of clothing they have, the amount of jewelry they possess, as well as the cars they drive, and we talked about that. Now, as I said, it doesn't matter who you are. You can be a doctor, a lawyer, Indian chief. You can drive a truck. You can be a literary genius. But when you get around a female goddess, you met your match, and a lot of them tend to feel intimidated. And especially when they go out with them. I've seen female goddesses come to my performances, and they know me, and we're like really close. We're just really close people, and they're talking to me, and we're kicking it, and we're on my breaks, and the individual mortal that they're with is like mesmerized. He doesn't speak, he doesn't say anything, or he tries to steal the scene. He tries to talk about how intelligent he is, or he'll remain quiet, and then later on when I talk to the goddess, I says, nice meeting, the individual you said. Yeah, and he got all nasty and jealous. He thinking that you and I had something going on. You were ex of mine or something. It's never like that. But now, this is the most important one. When they learn they can't sexually dominate the female goddess, they tend to seek out other female goddesses or mortals or pieces, as I say. and sexually dominate them, not caring if the female goddess knows that they're doing it or not. And I want you goddesses and you individuals, even males, that this has happened to, or females. Have you ever cheated on yours because you didn't feel that she was giving you enough? Or maybe you was feeling with a female goddess and you wasn't worthy of getting any more. But we're going to talk about that in the question and answers too. But the last question and the last statement I said was they will steal from the female goddess their possessions and or their money, but try and take their pride, dignity, and or self-respect, and then lie when accused of doing so. And I want to start with that one first. Pride, dignity, self-respect. Goddesses, have you ever, or when you have been in a relationship and that individual tries to steal your pride, dignity, self-respect, call you out of your name, call you things that you know you are not worthy of being called, and didn't care about it? How did it make you feel? Gentlemen, have you ever called a woman out of her name? And if so, why? How did it make you feel? Did you did it because you're a punk? Yeah, that's right, I said it. Or did you do it because she was so intellectual you had no other recourse to have some kind of self-respect, so you had to denigrate her? And we're going to talk about that, because this is about you mortals becoming devotees. That's important. So we're going to open it up, and we're going to have some questions. Now, note, and I'm going to say this, and then we're going to take a break. Female goddesses are often victims of spousal and relationships abuse, relational abuse. I believe it's due to the fact that the female goddess wanting everybody want to be accepted as a mortal, female mortal, which blames herself for the poor relationship. She thinks and feels, if only I did a little bit more, if only I sat him down and spoke with him. And now the list goes on, the excuses that they make for an abusive individual in their life. However, what she fails to understand and accept is that she's a female goddess trying to deal with and engage a mortal who is ill-equipped to deal with the being in front of them. Question discussions. Which one of those 8 have you experienced, dealt with? And 2, why do you think mortals treat human goddesses that way? And 3, if it happened to you, if you got treated like that, goddesses or female mortals, what would you do? Men, if a woman turned around and treated you that way, or any of those 8, how would you feel and what would you do? Again, Devotee, get the book. We're finishing up chapter 3. It's on Amazon. You have a chance to go through this and deal with this so that we can talk. Got to catch up. Got to learn the terminology and everything else. My name is James Kelly. You can call me J.U.R.D.O.T, which stands for Just Us Really Doing Our Thing. And we're going to come back and open up that question and answer thing and discuss that a little bit more. And then we're going to go into chapter 4. So, hey, you know what to do. S.E.M.A.J Productions, subscribe. Devotee, the discussions. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back, okay? Peace out.